Um, for people who don't know, it's hard to say because there's different coaching types, and relational people look for relational coaching, and intellectual coaches. I mean, people look for intellectual coaching. People look for what they like, and so make the choice very well. It depends really. Because if you're very relational, the way to develop is to do something else. It's not to do something that you already have. If you're very intellectual, it's good to develop something else. So sometimes choosing a very different type, because it will expand you in areas you don't know. So at any rate, to come to systemic approach, a systemic approach is the opposite, we could say, of a scientific approach. It's in a scientific approach, it's almost whenever you have a problem, you cut it up into sub-problems and sub-problems, and you try and analyze all the different parts. It's almost as if you want to cut up a body into different parts to understand the body. So you cut it up in different organs and different limbs and different pieces, and you try to understand each piece. And of course, when you do this, you may understand each piece very well, but you lose the focus on the whole. And so it's what analytical approach does, and it's what normal science does. And it's kind of a result of the Industrial Revolution, because in the Industrial Revolution, to make a car or to make anything, well, everybody just focuses on one part, and you become a big specialist in one part, but then you don't know how it fits in the rest. And it's useful for a while, but it doesn't give you a whole approach to everything, a holographic or a holistic approach to everything. So systems approach or systems thinking is kind of the opposite. In other words, is much more global than local. If you want to understand, the climate in your country, you don't only study in your country. You have to see the climate in the whole hemisphere and maybe all over the world, because a Niña or Nino event in one part of the world is going to affect the climate all over the world. So everything is connected in a systems approach. And so we look at everything, even when we do individual coaching, in a completely connected way. And you can take this very far, because you can even say, for instance, if you're coaching and something comes from the outside and disturbs the coaching, you can say, how does this fit in the coaching? What is the message coming from the outside? So nothing is a disturbance and nothing is a disruption. Everything is can be integrated as an interesting signal, something to use. So it's a different way of thinking about reality, thinking about your own life. One consequence, for instance, is that coaches, systemic coaches, know that they attract clients that have very similar issues. And that when you work with the client, you're also working on your own self-development as a coach, because you don't attract anybody by chance. So that's kind of like the concept of law of attraction.
Law of attraction.
So people meet people they need to meet for very good reasons, and they meet the coaches for very good reasons, and the coach attracts clients for very good reasons. So there's consequences in terms of skills, because it's usually useful to share this. So to tell the client that, I have the same issue, I don't know how to deal with it, it's difficult for me too. So we're kind of in the same mode. Now let's make sure we don't mix our problems, and so that I can be a good coach. if you know, and so on. So there's consequences about knowing this. In other words, there's skills that you use if you're a systemic coach that most other coaches don't use. Many coaches think they're outside of the client's problem, and they're kind of, you know, neutral. A systemic coach knows there's no such thing as neutrality, and so you know, you accept the co-responsibility that you have in anything you do together, and you even use it. You know, you put it on the table. So if you you know, see that as a coach you're doing anything, you may use it.